All right, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Benchard, and I'm going to talk to you today about agency runway, burn rate, and ARD. Now, if you want to make really big bets in your agency and be able to grow it to the next level, the more you grow and the bigger your team becomes, the more you're going to be looking at these metrics. Now, first of all, this isn't really that important for you if you're starting out in your agency, but it's good that you're aware of what these metrics are so that you can prepare them for when you do really start to scale and hire a lot of people and build out a big team. So, I've been looking at these metrics a lot lately because our team has grown quite a bit in the last 6 months. And as you scale, your burn rate also increases, and this can mess with a lot of things, especially in an agency where cash flow is very important and ARD is sometimes greater than 0, if not always. ARD stands for accounting receivable days. We'll talk about that in just a second. So first of all, Runway is basically just the cash balance that you have in the bank. Okay, let's say you have $120,000 in the bank, okay? And then your monthly burn rate is how much you're spending per month, like what your total expenses are, all expenses per month in your agency right now. So let's say that your expenses per month, burn rate is $10,000 a month, your cash balance is $120,000. When you divide these two, you are given your cash runway or your agency's runway. And that basically tells you how long you could survive without any revenue coming in the door for your agency. So if all your clients left you, if everyone stopped paying, especially in a time like this where we have somewhat of a crisis going on with like the virus and all that, you know, it's affected our business definitely, and I'm assuming it's affecting a lot of other agencies that work with local businesses or any type of business really. A lot of agencies are going to be affected right now. So this is a very important metric. Ideally, you want to have a minimum of 12 months worth of cash in the bank. It's better if you can get 18 to 24 months. Obviously, the more months, the better. But as a minimum or as a goal that you should have, your goal should be at least 12 months in the bank. This is a very common thing that if you read into like investing and angel investors, they'll look at like burn rate and runway, and they'll look at these things very closely. There's a lot of other metrics they'll look at, but they'll look at these metrics very closely. And this metric, by the way, is primarily used in startups where the venture capitalists give the startup $120,000, and then they look at the burn rate, and then they get an understanding of how many months they have until they can turn a profit in their business and hopefully get the profit to be more than their burn rate so that they can be self-sustaining. Okay, so with all that being said, the reason why this is so important is because if you only have 30 to 60 days worth of a cash runway, it creates myopia where you as the owner or everybody will start to be focusing on short-term gains and creating cash quickly, and that may not be the best decision for your clients in the long term, but you're focused on the short term because your runway is so short. And so if you have an 18-month cash runway and you could literally lose all your clients and keep your team and everybody and all your expenses and your salaries for everybody the same for 18, 24 months, it gives you a much longer runway for you to look and think way farther out into the future. Now, if you listen to Jeff Bezos, where he talks in his interviews, he always talks about how he feels so blessed that he gets to work in the future. Now, all that basically means is that Amazon has such a massive cash runway that like Jeff Bezos as the owner can be working on projects that may only benefit Amazon 10 years into the future or 5 or even 20 years into the future. So he's working on things in the future when he talks about stuff in interviews, and that is really, really cool because it allows you to focus on long-term gains. So how does this tie into big bets? Well, if you only have a 30 or 60-day runway, as most agencies do, you are going to basically not be able to make a big bet. A big bet is like, for something, example, Amazon, when they decided to do Prime shipping and they decided to do like an $80 per year subscription to get access to free 2-day shipping, Everybody told Jeff Bezos that was insane. There's no way it's gonna be like something that creates profit for Amazon. It was a ridiculous thing to do. He said, you know what, we're gonna do this, and it increased their average order value for customers that signed up by like, I don't know, 2 or 3-fold. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was one of the biggest and best bets that Amazon has ever made. Now, that is a big bet. It took a lot of cash. It was a bold bet, and you couldn't do something like that with 30 or 60 days cash in the bank, okay? So the other thing is ARD. This ties into your burn rate and your runway, because in an agency, you know, you have invoices that are being sent to clients, and hopefully those invoices get paid. Now, if you're operating your agency where you're billing your clients upfront, and you're getting them on a subscription so it auto charges a credit card, like hats off to you. That is phenomenal, that is amazing, and that is one of the best like billing systems out there. Unfortunately, it's not always so easy, and clients aren't always so willing to just give you their credit card and say, here, I'll let you charge me the same amount every single month, every month. But ARD is account receivable days, which is how many days on average your invoices are not paid, or how many days it takes until your invoices are paid. Last month, our ARD was 14 days, okay? So after an average, not like total, but an average of 14 days, we got all of our invoices paid. Now, some clients paid in 1 to 2 days, some clients paid in 30 days, and you know, the average came out to 14. Why is this important? Because, you know, if you only have a 30 or 60 day cash runway, you're gonna have to pay more attention to your account receivable days, because you're gonna wanna know, like, okay, if I'm gonna hire this account executive, or if I'm gonna hire this software developer for $10,000, $12,000 per month, and that's gonna put our margins down to 10, 15%, and we have a cash runway of only 60 days, and we find out that our average account receivable days is 30 days. If we actually hire this developer today, we may run out of cash, or come close to running out of cash, or put us in a very risky situation 30 days from now, just because of how long it takes for our clients to pay our invoices. So this is just basic cash flow, and you know, if it takes your clients forever to pay invoices, you're gonna run into what's called a cash flow trough. It's basically gonna look somewhat like this, where it's just going to dip, and this is going to be essentially below the line is unprofitable or negative, and it'll come back up. But the question is whether or not you can survive this dip right here, okay? And a lot of startups, you know, they go through this dip. What happens is they receive like a ton of money from an investor. Let's say that they receive $100 million from an investor, and they start hiring a ton of people, and they increase their burn rate to, like, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 per month. They're essentially burning cash and burning cash and burning cash and burning cash and burning cash, in the hopes that one day they're gonna be able to cross this line and be able to, you know, actually become profitable. Some companies can sustain this underwater period where they're kind of holding their breath with the cash that they have from investors for long periods of time. Amazon is a very good example of how long they were able to withstand, you know, not being profitable, if you go and look at their history. And there's a lot of companies like that. But for an agency, you know, there isn't many agencies in the world that are given hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, like Amazon, like Uber, like a lot of startups and tech companies. So it's different. The point is that if you have a small runway, you're gonna need to pay attention to this before you make a big move, because again, you just have such a small runway that if you make a big move, like hiring a software developer, an account executive, or spending $5,000, $10,000 a month on advertising, you may run into a situation where you run out of cash, and that's gonna put you under a lot of stress. So be careful about that. With that being said, I hope you found this video valuable. Hit that subscribe button below. Let me know your thoughts on this video. It's just something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately, so I wanted to share it, and I've never seen anybody really talking about it, so figured I would share and hopefully help some people out. All right, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.